Praise the Lord. You're all welcome. Today we talk about investment. We have said that when you are dealing with your investment, you are going to incur some risks. And we said that risk and your return, they are cousins. They are always correlated. We said the higher the risk, the higher the return. And of course, the lower the risk, the lower the return. In the last episode, I was sending out a caution. Beware of individuals who are always offering you a very high risk, because we know that there are some who have fallen prey to certain scammers, especially when it came to digital investments. I want us to talk about how to manage risk. What is risk? I want to have a quote by William Shedd. William Shedd said that better risk a little than lose the whole. Better to risk a little than to lose the whole. And also, there is this other quote: a ship is safe in a harbor, but that is not what ships are for. So that means that at one point in time, even though you are having your money in your saving account and you are always looking at it, money is not for saving. Money is to be invested. We have already agreed on that. Ecclesiastes, I'll quote it again for you. Chapter 11 verse 1 says, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a portion to 7, yes, even divide it to 8, for you know not what evil may come upon the earth." So even King Solomon is accepting that when you are dealing with investment, when you are dealing with farming, when you are casting your bread, your investment, your bread is your investment. Your waters, these are the markets. These are the people where your investment is being cast. Now, he is recognizing that there are, calamities that will affect your investment. Remember, we had said that we do not have 100% guarantee that your money or your investment is going to come back. But it is the safest bet anyway. That is the best way to grow your investment. Now, what is risk? Risk is an uncertain future event or condition which, if happens, will adversely or affect your mission objective. The mission objective of your investment is to make profit, accumulate profits, or retain earnings, or increase your equity. So we know that there will be certain risks. Now, risk is not always a negative thing. Sometimes risk can be positive. So when we are looking at risk that is likely to affect your business, do not always look at it as something that is negative. Why? Because sometimes an occurrence of a certain risk will bring about certain good benefits. For example, if you are dealing in maybe a rental car business, if your car breaks down and you may discover that there is another place which has cheaper tires, which you wouldn't have discovered. And if you are dealing with a previous supplier of tires who was, selling to you an item more expensively, the occurrence of a certain event may open your eyes, and then you discover something is positive coming out of a negative event. So if a risk occurs, then you know you have now a situation to deal with. Are we together? If you are having a positive risk, it will be an opportunity, and that you'll want to maximize advantages of these positive risks. And that means that if you had budgeted a higher cost or price for that item, that means you are saving as far as that item is concerned. So when we look at opportunity, we look at good risks, or positive risk. And we know that businesses always grow where there is opportunity. So another quote is that he who doesn't risk never drinks wine. He who doesn't risk never drinks wine. In the Bible, you know that kings always drank wine. The poor never drink wine. Wine is not for the poor, it's for the rich. So this quote says, he who doesn't risk never eats or drinks wine. Another one says, you risk nothing, you gain nothing. And these are, common sense. You don't want to make any investments. You don't want to incur risks. You are not going to gain anything. Why? Your money is always going to be in one place. Let us talk about business risk. I don't want to go in other types of risk for purposes of understanding. I want to concentrate on business risk. This is any threat to a business or a company, any threat to a company or company's ability to meet its objective of making increased profit is a business risk. Anything that is affecting our increase in profits is something that an investor wants to work against. Now, for purposes of understanding business risks, I will put them in 4 categories. That is, 1, we have strategic risks. They are all here. You also have financial risks. You have operational risks, compliance risks. Now, let us look at certain examples of business and try to identify certain risks. Look at, you have a poultry business, or you have a small scale business. Most of businesses in Uganda are small scale. And then let us also look at a takeaway business or a restaurant. If you started a restaurant, what are some of the risks that you could or you are likely to have? Now, assuming you have a restaurant, what are some of the strategic risks you are going to face? You are going to face changes in demand or changes in consumption. The doctors are telling people, eat well, eat less cooking oil, do not eat fried things. And for you, your business, you want people to eat. And the doctors are telling them, eat well, So this means that, you're going to have challenges. Why? Because there are currently changes in demand. If you go to, some of the restaurants around town, like Cafe Javas, you are realizing that they are preparing things, that people want to eat. Healthy food. You want fruits and vegetables. Bring me bananas, yogurt. Gone are the days where people are eating only chips and chicken. People want to eat more cucumbers. People want to eat, healthy. So this is going to affect that kind of business. Now, you realize if you are having changes in demand, what is happening? There is competition from other rivals, other restaurants which are preparing traditional foods, boiled food. They are not frying, they are just cooking whole meals. So you're going to face competition from rivals, and that is going to be a business risk that is has the ability to impact on your profits. Your sales may be affected. So probably you need to identify that risk and ensure that you meet the chips and chicken for the young generation, but also individuals who want to eat more healthy. If you are only having sodas, have more drinks which are more healthier than sodas, because there are some customers who are not going to be drinking your sodas. So that is competition is going to be something that is, there may be rules, changes in rules and regulations by the government, could be health and safety measures coming in as far as preparing food is concerned. That is going to also impact. You may have reputational risk. If people eat your food and they are having stomach upsets, their health is impacted negatively, you're going to, your reputation, the reputation of the company may be in question. The other issue is COVID-19. You remember very well, during COVID-19, we were not, all restaurants were closed. So if you did not adapt and make deliveries, that means you are closed 24/7. That was a risk that affected ourselves because, you were not selling. What would you do to remain in business if you had a restaurant? Even when it was poultry, people were not buying chicken. You had to look for them to deliver eggs. I remember the cost or the price of eggs dropped significantly when it came to poultry. I have a friend of mine. He's dealing in this kind of business. He was telling me that the cost of the tray of egg was going down. Why? Social distancing, lockdown brought about and affected businesses like this. Not dining out, we spent a whole year not dining out. All of us were indoors. So you had to identify that type of risk. Now, talk about financial risk. If you have debt, excess debt, that means if interest rates go up, the loan repayments are going to be affected. Your profit and loss, the amount of interest that you pay to the bank is going to affect your profits. So you need to identify this risk early. Should you take a loan or not? You want to expand your business, and as a result, you take a loan at a high interest. It is going to affect you. It is going to cause about what? Poor cash flows. When there are poor cash flows, very, very important. The other risk when you are talking about these kind of businesses, whenever there is increase in interest rates, the amount for interest is going to go up, and that is going to adversely affect your profits. So you need to, this is how you identify these risks. Before you go into these businesses, identify the risks. You know very well that if you're using debt capital, it will be affected. If you are dealing with exchange rates, it is going to affect. If you are selling and buying in dollars, it is going to affect you, or in any other international currency, and your exchange gains are going to go down, and you're going to have exchange losses. And of course, you know that affects your profits. There may be poor policies, and as a result, you are writing off your debts early. You need to have a policy in place and ensure that if you have doubtful or bad debts, you have to look for these individuals, put a credit policy for people to pay back on time. Ensure that you don't write off debts as early as possible. Now, this financial risk is a financial health of the company, is a subject of financial risks. You want to be financially healthy, you will be affected by these financial risk. Your cash flows are affected. This debt is affecting your finances. Also, interest rates, they are affecting the business. Bad debts are affecting business. Now, you come to operational risks. These are risks that arise as a result of operational activities. There may be fire outbreaks. You saw this week, there was a certain school along Entebbe Road, it was shown in fire. We have been having so many of these fire outbreaks, and this is why you are having all these insurance companies. But these are possibilities, we said it is uncertain, future event. Yeah? The event may happen. This is an event, Then we have a condition. COVID-19 is a condition. They are all possibilities. They are likely to happen. I know for a certain that restaurants are subject to a lot of thefts because you are having cash. Cash is moving hands. People are buying using cash. What are some of the ways do you have to mitigate thefts and embezzlements? I remember one time we were auditing a certain restaurant, and they had lost about $30,000 in small thefts. They were having these deposit slips, which they were filling in. And for you think they are original, yet they were all, they were already duplicated. These are some of the risks when it comes to this kind of businesses. Sometimes people pay you by check and there is no money. Someone takes your chicken, this is a person you trust, and they have given you, and some of these people, they behave rich. He gives you a check, you cash the check, and before you know, the bank is telling you insufficient funds. There is no money on the account. What are you going to do? There are strikes. Some of your employees may strike. They may take you to court. If they have employment contracts, they will take you to court for unfair dismissal. Whichever reason they are coming up with, that is a risk. Natural disasters. We talked about COVID again. Flooding. What are some procedures do you have to manage these risks? Because they are bound to happen. This gentleman has told us that give a portion to 7. Yes, even divide it to 8. For you know not what evil may come upon the earth. So there is this assumption that at a given point in time, certain evils will come to pass. What are you going to do? Apostle Paul in Ephesians 6 talks about the evil day, that you may stand when the evil day comes. How are you going to stand? You need to manage these risks. Most employees got affected during COVID-19 pandemic at the same time, you ought to have had some reserves, because you had to keep paying employees whether they are working or not. Can you imagine employers paying your salaries for 2 years and yet they are closed? Because restaurants were closed for 2 years. They had to keep paying salaries. You talk about compliance risk. They are required. New rules are set up by the government, other regulatory bodies. You know, here in Uganda we have the UNBS, Uganda National Bureau of Standards. You bring poor quality products, you know, they are confiscated. That is a risk. People trading, going to China, you bring a product, they will tell you that it is not accepted. They will confiscate it. People dealing in agricultural pesticides, they look at the product, you bought it from a reliable manufacturer from any other country, and they will tell you it does not meet our standard. Why? Quality standards. That is a compliance risk. Have you looked at these things? Tax evasion. The Revenue Authority, Caesar, sends you an email and tells you you have not paid taxes for 10 years. We've been solving a certain problem, you know. Someone is having tax issues for 10 years. This is going to impact negatively. It's a huge risk. And you know very well, even our Lord and Master, they came to him, you haven't paid temple tax. And Jesus, you know, paid tax. So things are going to affect you negatively. You haven't paid income taxes. You haven't paid VAT, value-added tax, withholding tax. These are all taxes. You have imported goods from Dubai or China, and you don't have enough cash flows. You don't have enough money with you to pay for import taxes. It's going to affect you, and non-compliance, you know, has, you know, dire consequences. So when you are in business, these are things that should not catch you offside. You know, you are not just going to pray. You are going to put action. You are going to engage tax advisors. Have tax advisors to help you out in your business. There is environmental laws. You know, NEMA will come to you and say you are building, you know, in a gazetted area. You are building, you know, your property in a swamp. That title will be cancelled out. What are you going to do? That is a risk. So you need to identify these risks. Financial irregularities. You are not adhering to international standards on auditing. You are having this thing called creative accounting. You are manipulating accounts. The Revenue Authority finds out that you have not declared certain transactions. This will affect you. You know, you have women rights. This is also something. Lawsuits are happening because of non-compliance of, you know, women's rights. You have, you know, child labor laws. You are having a factory and you are employing child labor. These things are going to affect you whether you want it or not. So you need to put a risk management policy. You need to have a risk list. Identify all these risks. You know, of course, we know that certain risks are going to be accepted because they are part of business. If a risk is something that is unavoidable, then you accept it. But certain risks can be reduced through information. That means that you're going to gain more knowledge, or you're going to approach experts, approach tax consultants that can help you manage and reduce certain risks. This is, how you mitigate and reduce risk in business. Set up accounting softwares. We keep talking about Kodak. Technological changes are going to affect your business. Other people are trading online. For you, you have refused. You are only in your shop. You are not changing. This is what happened to Kodak. Digital cameras were coming, and Kodak refused to change from analog. Remember the old cameras for Kodak? Digital platforms were coming. Phones were being produced, which were having, better pictures for cameras. And Kodak refused to innovate. They refused to invest in research and development. They were telling Kodak, please improve on your products because the world is changing. This is the same thing that happened to Sony. Sony, remember Sony? They were coming up with Android phones, and Sony was keeping us backward. And what happened? They were doing the right thing, but they were not adhering to new changes as far as the market is concerned. You need to identify these things. Things are changing. Let us be adaptive as Christians. Let us adhere to new changes. The markets are changing. Products are changing. As a result, we need to fulfill the scriptures. Luke 19 has told us, occupy till I come. I have to adapt. We know now the gospel has gone on social media. You have to adapt. The churches have to adapt. Gone are the days where people have to, always attend churches. You are now hearing about artificial intelligence, whereby people, they can put the sermon and you are in your home and you can watch the sermon. You can, worship the Lord alone with your family, So even churches, they have to adapt. Go on TV, air out your sermons on these social media platforms. This is what is happening. E-commerce has come. E-commerce is another risk. Electronic commerce. Communication has changed. You have emails. You can now get a communication from your customer by email. So if you don't have emails, then you are backward. Set up these platforms. Companies are having websites. The United Nations, you can now access whatever they they want to purchase through their website. And therefore, that means you've got to adapt in business in order to attract big contracts. Is that clear? Praise the Lord. So, love you all. God bless you. Be blessed.